everyone, welcome to another Bachelor recap. My name's Yani if you're new, and let's just get right into it because it was another drama-filled episode. So the episode starts with an obvious one-on-one date with Serena P and Matt, and they get interrupted by a donkey, and that's just where it starts, and it's really funny. Then it takes you back to where last week left off, when Sarah has to step away and Bree takes her somewhere where she can just sit down, relax, and she's saying that she has to faint and she can't see. So that's pretty much where it starts off. So Matt asks if she wants some fresh air, so he takes her outside. He gives her his jacket like the sweetheart that he is, and the girls are just speculating that she's doing this all for attention and she's faking it. They're also mentioning that she just doesn't want to be there anymore because she's been mentioning that she's not cut out for it just because she can't stand to see Matt with the other girls. And then of course we have Victoria, Queen Victoria, with her commentary about how fake it is, and she's just going off about how she wants attention and that she needs to leave. But I feel like she's probably just upset that she didn't think of it first. I do believe that being in that situation can cause a lot of stress. And, you know, was it real? Was it fake? Who knows? But I could never be in a show like that because I know I'd probably be acting the same way she is. Moping around in your room, just being sad and insecure about all of the other connections and all the other beautiful women that he's got on the show. So it's really hard. I do honestly really feel for her, but it's just kind of like, not in a mean way, but it's what you signed up for. Once she starts feeling a little bit better, they bring her back inside and they continue with the rose ceremony. And of course, I feel like we already knew that Marilyn was gonna go home and Victoria was gonna stay. It's very unfortunate because we know that Victoria is very malicious, she's two-faced, and poor Marilyn had no idea what was coming. I do feel for Marilyn, but at the same time, I kind of feel like she didn't really defend herself as much as she should have. Like, I would have fought for it and let him know that that's not my character, that's not who I am. And her so-called friends in the house, they couldn't have told Matt, hey, Victoria's the issue here, we all can see it. The following day, the women are just in the living room chatting, and it's when they get their first date card of the day. Chris Harrison walks in and lets them know that they're gonna have 3 different dates. They're gonna have the group date and then the 2 one-on-ones. And he lets them know that the group date is gonna be a surprise. And boy, oh boy, was it a surprise. So the girls walk in and there's somebody reading something very sexy, and it's Ashley I, and it happens to be out of Chris Harrison's like romance novel. And that's just very random. I had no idea that he had written a novel. I guess it's like an erotic novel. Side note, I've been following Ashley I on TikTok for, I want to say, I don't know if it's been a year or a few months, but I had no idea who she was. I found her video of her and her husband reenacting a scene from 27 Dresses, and I thought it was so funny and they were so cute, so I followed her. Then I realized who she was when I saw her on the popular page on Instagram, so I thought that was just very funny. So Ashley I ends up letting them know that they have to write their own love story with Matt, explaining what they would do in a fantasy situation, and it gets pretty sexy, explicit, awkward, cringy, I don't know. It was very, very funny, I guess you can say. Right off the bat, I'm thinking, okay, Katie's gonna be the best at this because, per usual, we all think about the dildo situation from night 1, and she's just very funny, so I had very high hopes for her. They're going over their stories with Ashley I, and of course, Victoria, every single word is bleeped, so you can't really tell what she's saying. But Ashley I's facial expressions are hilarious. I could not stop laughing. Anna's up first and she killed it. It was very sexy, but not too crazy. And yeah, just very funny. Rachel was initially very nervous, but I think she did an amazing job. She was very funny and sweet and intimate, sexy, but not too over the top. So you saved the 2 best ones for last, and Katie also had a few bleeps, but the girls seemed to enjoy it, Matt seemed to enjoy it. He seemed like he was very, like, he was blushing a lot. The girl seemed very nervous. And then Victoria, I'm not gonna lie, there's a part at the end where she says that Matt yelled, "Yes, queen," and I thought that was very fitting. It was funny. But yeah, pretty much nothing but bleeps, and he seemed very uncomfortable, like he always is around her. As they're all reading their love stories in front of everyone, and everyone's laughing, and everyone just thought it was really funny. They were really enjoying it. Some were very uncomfortable, but the whole time Sarah's just mentioning how horrible she feels and like heartbroken, and she's just starting to realize that he has all these connections with all these other girls, and it just makes it even worse hearing their love stories and pretty much what they would like to do with Matt. So she just feels very uncomfortable, and it's just making her second guess everything even more. I definitely admire them for putting themselves out there more than they already are, but in a stressful situation that they're in, I thought it was a very fun date to go on, just to kind of relieve some stress. I thought they all did really, really well. Another side note, I've been seeing on Instagram all these memes with Matt. I had no idea, or I didn't even realize that he kisses with his eyes open. It's just a little weird to me, but he was poking fun at it, and he even commented on one of them, so I thought that was pretty funny. So it's later on in the night, and they're all on their date with Matt, and they're all taking their turns going one-on-one speaking to him. And so Rachel has a good conversation with him, and so does Bree. Then it's Katie's turn, and Sarah just kind of shows up. That's the one thing that I do not like. I don't like when they interrupt dates, especially when they're not even on the date. So I really felt for Katie, especially since she's been trying to get her one-on-one time with Matt. So she was very nice and let her have the time. She told her, 5 minutes, because, basically you're not even on this date. So they're talking, she's expressing her feelings to him. He's just very sweet as usual. And he's just kind of reassuring her that he's thinking about her, he has really strong feelings for her. I just feel like that conversation could have been had at the beginning when he took her outside when she almost fainted, just to kind of let him know that it is kind of stressing her out and it's making her feel a certain way. Then Katie walks in to tell all the other girls that her date was interrupted by Sarah, and they're all just very frustrated, as they should be, because it was their time, and most of the girls hadn't even talked to him, so I can see why they were very upset about it. Then as they're talking and he's reassuring her about his feelings, Katie walks back in and she lets her know, okay, basically your time's up, it's my turn, and she's asking for more time, and Katie's like, seriously? So she's like, okay, I'm gonna be here for just a second. So she's kind of like hiding behind this little area, and it's just so awkward. And she then sits next to them. She just wants her time. I don't blame her. Then Sarah asks if he can walk her out, and she tells Katie that she just needs a few more minutes with him. I was just like, oh my gosh, it was just so bad. Sarah definitely put a huge target on her back. So as Katie gets her time back with Matt, Sarah goes outside to basically apologize to the girls, but they're not having it because they're just very frustrated with her. She wants to be here, she doesn't, so they just kind of let her have it and let her know that it's not right. So Victoria goes after her and has a conversation with her, being super fake and letting her know that they're all just worried about her. They thought it had to do with her health, and just being just phony. I just could not believe what I was watching. I was just like, this girl is crazy. Then Katie comes out hot and just letting her have it, but not in a mean way. She's just letting her know that it wasn't fair to her. She needed that time. She wasn't even on the group date, and basically lets her know that she needs to make up her mind because there's other connections that need to be had, and it's not fair to everybody else that she still isn't indecisive about what she wants to do. Then Matt comes back in and the vibe is off again, but he does give the rose to Rachel, but the other girls are just very bummed because they didn't have time with him. Time is everything on the show, and connections have to be made almost immediately. And any time with the Bachelor or Bachelorette is very crucial. The next day is Serena P's one-on-one date, and the date card said, "Let love lead the way." As I mentioned before, I love Serena P. Her smile and personality are just so infectious. As they're about to go on their date, he wants to have a conversation with the girls, and of course, one person's missing, and it's very obvious to Matt, and it's Sarah, so he lets the girls know that he'll be right back, and he goes to her room to find her. So as he knocks on the door, she opens it, and he basically jumps on her on the bed, which I thought it was very cute and playful, but it was still unfair to Serena just because she was expecting her one-on-one date, so that kind of took some time away from her as well. When they're in the room, she basically lets him know that she's packed her bags and she's gonna leave, and he just always knows the right things to say. He basically tells her that he wants her there, so she does decide to stay. So they finally head out on their date, and they get to go horseback riding, and the scenery is beautiful. It's just basically straight out of a movie. They just seem very natural together, and they're having a deep conversation as they're sitting down, and that's when their kiss gets interrupted by the donkey. So it's later on in the night, and it's their dinner date, and Matt mentions that he wants to dig a little bit deeper. They're having their conversation about love, and she's mentioned that she's been in love before, and he lets her know that he's never been in love. And she lets him know that she can see herself falling in love with him. It's so cute because both of their faces just lit up. Then Serena mentions that she encourages him to challenge her. I love that. Then they seal it with a kiss, and of course, end the night in the hot tub. While all of that's happening, all the girls are gathered together, talking about everything, and Rachel walks in with a date card. And at the same time, Sarah, who's in her room all day, just kind of sneaks by and sits at the corner of the couch, and all hell breaks loose. Sarah begins to apologize and addresses the whole situation and tells them basically that she's got internal stuff going on. They're all pressing her about what it is and basically bullying her, and it was such a hard scene to watch because I get it, they're frustrated, but you don't attack someone like that. And it was just not all of them, it was a majority of them, and I just felt so bad for her. And Victoria, who was so sweet and was trying to be her friend the night before, is attacking her, and it's just so brutal. It was just horrible to watch, and I did not support that at all. Even Abigail had something to say, not as mean or malicious as the other girls, but she did speak out about how unfair it felt in a very nice way. She wasn't rude about it like the other girls, which was nice to see. After that whole scene, Katie goes to find Sarah and has a talk with her, letting her know that she wants her to stay and explore her connection with Matt because she doesn't want her to leave and have Matt feeling, like what if it worked out, and she didn't want that for her or for herself. And I thought that was very mature of her. And she also let her know that she didn't appreciate all of the girls ganging up on her the way that they did. And they have this deep conversation, and Sarah lets her know that it's about her dad, and she lets her know the whole situation. And Katie starts to cry and lets her know that her dad had passed away in 2012. And it was just a very emotional scene. I cried, but I cried for everything. And it was just very nice to see. I love Katie, and I feel like she's moved up to my favorite because that was such an admirable thing to do, especially when everybody's ganging up on her, and she had an issue with her the night before. She put it to the side and went to go talk to her like an adult, and just to be there for her and be sympathetic with what just happened. So Sarah, of course, lets her know that she's made up her mind and she's gonna leave. And Katie agrees because she tells her that, stop, don't waste another moment, go be with your family, especially your dad. After their conversation, Katie lets all the girls know that she finally decided to leave. She reminds them to remain classy and, lets them know that nobody knows what's going on internally with everybody else in the house, and I respect that so much. Katie for the Bachelorette, I'm sure we all feel that way. She packs her bags and heads to Matt's, and it's very emotional for her. She's crying the whole time, and Matt really wants her to stay. You can just see it all over his face. But he realizes that she has to leave for bigger and better things. She also lets him know about what happened with the rest of the girls, and she just needed to leave for herself. So I do think she made the right decision. I don't think that moment was right for her. She needs to be with her family and also just find love the normal way, where she's not competing with other women for one person's attention. So that was pretty much the whole episode. Lots of drama, lots of crying, and you know, next week's gonna be better. They show the new group of girls coming in, which means even more drama. Anna drops a bomb that she's heard one of the girls is an escort. All the girls were shocked. So it's gonna be crazy, even crazier than it already is. That's all for today's recap. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.